A popular image all over the internet for Raptors fans, Marc Gasol is skinny. He got so much leaner over the course of the lockdown period. Now, what does that mean for the Raptors' championship aspirations heading into the bubble? Let's find out. Welcome to Amateur Sports, everybody. Jacob Jackson Jr. here talking about Marc Gasol as we head into the bubble with the Toronto Raptors. Games got started again on Wednesday. We're about to see all the NBA teams, well, the ones invited to the bubble, all those teams back in action. We finally get some NBA content again, and I've done a lot of videos on the Raptors, and I'm going to focus this one in on the big burrito, big Spain, more like medium Spain now, Marc Gasol. He is very skinny based on the pictures we have seen of himself working out, getting work done over the lockdown period, and this is a very interesting development for the Toronto Raptors. Marc Gasol is featured in 36 games this season. He has started 35 of those games, and he has had a bit of injury problems. Not shooting the ball tremendously from the field at 42%, but shooting well from three at about 40%. You will definitely take that from your starting five man. He's only averaging about 7.6 points, but we know Marc's game is more than just what's on the stat sheet. He's a great defender, he's a great facilitator for a big, like a tremendous facilitator for a big, and he's a decent playmaker from that high post position. But injuries have been a bit of a factor in his career with the Toronto Raptors over the course of the last year and a half, basically. And I think that, well, his health could be a problem in the bubble, but now that he's a lot skinnier, there's a lot of weight literally taken off his ankles and shoulders. This will definitely reduce the risk of injury for Marc in the bubble, and we definitely need Marc because we don't have a particularly huge team. I mean, our third choice center is Chris Boucher, and if I have to see Chris Boucher go up against a guy like Joel Embiid over the course of the playoffs, I may have an aneurysm. So it is big to keep Marc Gasol healthy, because if it's just Serge Ibaka, some teams could just really hound in on their bigs, like the Celtics, like the Sixers. They could really take advantage of that situation. So that's the first big thing about Marc Gasol being skinny. He's way less at risk for injuries. The second thing is that it's going to be a lot better for the Raptors in transition. They do play such a high-paced offense. They can capitalize on fast break situations. And having a guy like Marc Gasol, who's definitely going to be a little bit faster, a little bit more athletic as a result of his size, getting a lot skinnier, this could be great for the Raptors in transition. Marc Gasol getting involved in these fast break situations, maybe to get his averages up from 7.6 points per game if he's in those good areas more often. And, if he's a little bit more skinny, he can make those coast-to-coast runs to get in position. It's tough for a center. He's a big guy, but he's got to go from rim to rim, whereas, a guard, he's only got to go up till the top of the three-point line, and he can kind of get a little bit of a rest. But playing as a five, you got to run the entire floor. And it's going to be a lot easier on Marc, stamina-wise, to be able to stay in these games longer if they need him. Personally, I think that the Raptors close out games with Marc Gasol on the bench. I think that the five that needs to be on the floor when we're closing out games is Lowry, Fred VanVleet, OG Anunoby, Pascal Siakam, and Serge Ibaka at the five. But in some situations, like if we do play the Celtics and they're playing two bigs against us, we will need to have Serge Ibaka and Marc Gasol on the floor together. So to maximize our output from Marc Gasol, it's great that he's done a lot of work to get himself in better shape. A lot can also be said about the confidence that can be instilled in anybody really after putting in work in the gym and noticing the results. I don't know, maybe this could help Marc. His shooting has been a little bit worse off than usual. At 42% from the field, I think he really struggles to get gritty in the paint. He's good at shooting threes, and he's a very confidence-based player when he's shooting. When he's not shooting well from three, he kind of starts to hesitate on taking those threes, which Nick Nurse really does not like, because as long as Marc Gasol is shooting those threes, it makes the opposing center close out on him. Nick Nurse really hates when Marc Gasol has an open look right at the center, top of the three-point line, and he refuses to take the shot because maybe he's struggling in the game. confidence is a big factor for Marc, so maybe this could help him. Marc Gasol's not been the same scorer since joining the Toronto Raptors, but he's been very effective in his role. But can we see Marc, with a bit more athleticism, start to thrive in the scoring department again like he did in Memphis? I mean, he went all the way from about 13 to 15 points per game with the Grizzlies to less than 10 points per game with the Raptors last season, and now he's less than 8 points per game. He also doesn't rebound nearly as much as before. Used to average upwards of 8 rebounds per game, now it's under 7 rebounds per game. But again, I will say, Marc Gasol's game is what you don't see on the stat sheet. But can we have a Marc Gasol kind of reminiscent of the prime Marc Gasol? I mean, can we have the Marc Gasol that does all the things that you don't see on the stat sheet, but also do the things that you do see on the stat sheet, like, points, like rebounding, because he's a great defender. We know that. He's a phenomenal defender. But if he can up his offensive game and just add another weapon for that Toronto offense, who already has so many incredible weapons on offense, it could bring the Raptors game, a tick above the incredible level they are already at, because 7.6 points per game for your starting center is something that could be improved on. And now we don't knock Marc for that because we know he just helps and enables the other guys in the game. But what if he can do that while getting those numbers up? That's what I'm proposing, was a skinnier Marc, a guy who can be on the floor longer, who can have better minutes on that floor for a longer period of time, a guy who can be more confident, a guy who can get his looks more often because he can create them for himself a little bit more often, going along with how great he is on defense. I mean, he's been stellar on defense again this season. The former defensive player of the year. We know he's a great defender. This season, a defensive rating of 104 over 100 possessions. That is very good. That's a very good number. And also, he's a bit of a Joel Embiid killer. I mean, he did really well against him in the playoffs last year, and any Sixers fan may say, well, Joel Embiid wasn't fully healthy. Well, how about the fucking goose egg that Joel Embiid put up against the Raptors earlier in the season? Yes, 0 points for the big man against Marc Gasol. Marc Gasol, I'll make the joke again, Marc Gasol is Joel Embiid's father. So the key takeaway is that Marc Gasol can start to put up as many points as he was putting up in his prime years at Memphis. I mean, maybe not quite that 19 point per game season that he had, but if Marc Gasol can get maybe 11 to 12 points per game, just add that extra little bit of offense for the Toronto Raptors, it could be huge. It also makes people D up on him a little bit more. If he starts to hit his threes, well, the center's got to come out and close out on Marc on the perimeter, which leaves all that space in the paint for Pascal Siakam or Serge Ibaka to just devour. Also, it can't hurt him on defense. The ability to stay with his man a little bit better, that's going to be huge, especially if he's D'ing up a guy like maybe Nikola Vucevic on the perimeter. The entire Raptors roster looks like they have been putting in work to get ready for this bubble. They have tasted what a championship is like, and it's a contagious feeling. Once you win that championship, you just want to win them all. You want to go out and win another one, and that is exactly what the Raptors are trying to do. And it's great to see a guy like Marc Gasol, even well into his 30s, really digging in, wanting to get another championship. He's a guy, if you saw in the parade, he was a guy enjoying it maybe more than most people on the Toronto Raptors, and it's just exciting to see all these Raptors players really digging in, trying to get another chance at a championship. So to end off, Marc Gasol, I think he can improve his field goal percentage, being a little bit more athletic near the cup, because he has already been a great three-point shooter this season. Just needs to be a little bit better when he's in the paint. Maybe clean up the mid-range game a little bit, but in the paint he gets bullied a little bit too easy. Maybe being a little bit more athletic will give him an edge over his opponent. I think he's going to be even better on defense, being able to guard guys up near the perimeter, and also, have a little bit more motion in the paint, defending the rim. And again, those fast break opportunities, his ability to run the floor up and down a lot better, and also stay on the floor for longer, being in a more fit state. These are all great upsides to Marc Gasol's game that will just enhance it even more, because we know his basketball IQ is already absolutely tremendous, and age isn't really a factor for Marc Gasol's game because he does not rely on his athleticism to play. He relies on his basketballing mind, and just to make his body a little bit more athletic and ready for a basketball playoff season, it'll just help that even more. He can use that basketball IQ to his advantage even further than he already did. That will wrap up this video on the big burrito, more so a medium burrito. Now, Marc Gasol is going to be a big threat for the Toronto Raptors as we head into the playoffs. I think he'll step up his game. He'll enhance the performance of the team even more. But that will end up this video. Again, thank you so much for watching. If you're still here, thank you so much for 200 subscribers. We are on a journey, and if you are a part of it, I really do appreciate it. Please like the video if you like, and subscribe to Amateur Sports for more content just like this as well. Hit that notification bell. We post usually 4 times a week, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and Saturday. There will be no video tomorrow. I am out of town for the weekend, but usual content resumes on Monday. Another playoff matchup breakdown. We'll see you again Monday for that episode. At the end of the day, I believe I say and disagree. That is okay. See you again next time.